بيكم في مرة جديدة من Welcome to Canada, your new home. والنهاردة فرحانين جدا ومتشرفين يكون معانا Occupational Therapist ماريا حنا. أهلا بيك يا ماريا.
هاي.
فرحانين جدا بوجودك معانا النهاردة.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you حبيبتي. احنا عارفين طبعا العربي ممكن هيشكل معانا مشكلة صغيرة النهاردة.
Just a little bit.
بس ان شاء الله نوعدك ان احنا هنعمل ترجمة، لان الموضوع النهاردة يا جماعة بيهم كل الاسر الجديدة، اي حد معاه اطفال في سن ما قبل المدرسة وسن المدرسة. ماريا طبعا النهاردة هتدينا نصايح كتيرة بالنسبة للتحديات اللي بتقابل أولادنا وممكن تأثر على العملية التعليمية و their learning at school.
Yes, for sure.
اوكي، هنبدأ بقى بالسؤال الأول. ماريا، أنا عارفة إن أنت عندك خبرة كبيرة جدا في التعامل مع الأطفال، فاحنا عاوزين نعرف الناس كلهم على ماريا حنا.
So I worked as an occupational therapist for about 7 years in schools, all throughout Peel and Halton. And there I encountered everything under the sun that you could imagine that a kid can have. From having severe mental health concerns, to having maybe some delays that they had, to having very negligible concerns that the teacher would be like, oh, you know, they're distracted or their behavior is too much. Okay. So any kid that kind of just went away from the line a little bit, I was called in to come and assess the child.
Amazing. أنا عارفة كمان إن أنتي founder of Jumpstart Therapy، فقولي لنا إيه الخدمات اللي بتقدميها في المكان الجميل ده؟
So after I worked in schools for about 7 years, I've decided to leave that job. So I started my own private practice that now I work with kids. So I have a lot of parents who call me and say, you know, Maria, I have the teacher's complaining that my son hits other kids. Oh. You know, do you think they have a problem? Can you work with my son? So I work with kids like that. I work with kids where parents call me and say, you know, my daughter's crying all the time. She's on emotional roller coaster. Like, what's going on? I work with kids like that. I work with also kids who can't write. Okay. Right? They're struggling to write properly, and now they come to grade 5 and they hate writing. So they just sit there. The teacher asks them to do something and they refuse. They say, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Okay. So now we start seeing their grades decreasing, their confidence in schools decreasing. So I work with them as well. I work with kids from like infants who still can't walk or talk to up to 18 years old.
Okay, ماريا، احنا في تحديات بتقابل ولادنا في المدارس في يعني السن قبل المدرسة وسن المدرسة.
Yes.
Lots of challenges. كلمينا كده عن التحديات اللي ممكن تقابل ولادنا.
I think right now we're in a completely different time than ever before. The social impact, the amount of screens that are everywhere, just even the secular world that's out there is so different that it's causing severe conflict in our homes. We have kids who are quote unquote growing up too quickly, but they're actually not growing up too quickly. They're developmentally not there. But the world is throwing a lot of things down their throat, so it's causing a big effect on them.
ده حقيقي، احنا بنلاحظ الولاد صغيرين خالص شهور ماسكين الموبايل، عارفين بيدوسوا فين على الزراير عشان يلاقوا الفيفوريت شو بتاعهم.
and we laugh at it, but that's actually very scary and not good. Like we shouldn't be aiming for that.
ده حقيقي. متهيألي المشكلة كمان فينا احنا as parents، برضو احنا بنقضي وقت طويل على السكرينز. طب ازاي هنساعد ولادنا بقى علشان نعمل تايم مانجمنت ونساعدهم علشان to come over the challenge ده؟
So I think parents and homes and how they structure their homes and the rules and the boundaries that they set, first off the parent has to follow and so that the child can follow. We can't expect our kids not to bring their phone on the dinner table if we have our phones on our dinner table. So a really good rule that we like to talk to parents, even if your kids are very young, even if they're just 1, have a rule in your home. There's, for example, a basket. Everybody drops their phones, dad included, drops their phone inside the basket. It's dinner time. There's no phones on the table. So it's simple things like that that we can abide by, but the parents actually have to be the role models first.
All the screens are taking away from our attention and from our kids' attention, from the family time. How can we deal with this problem?
Honestly, what we can do, there's so many recommendations out there. I say go according to the guidelines that the psychology associations are actually putting up. They don't recommend kids under 2 having any screen.
Oh man.
Zero.
يعني احنا بندي للولاد، بنشوف الولاد الصغيرين شهور بيبقوا قاعدين في السترولر ومعاهم الايبادز.
Yeah, exactly. So the associations definitely don't recommend that. They say before 2 years old they don't have. After 2, as they say every year after that, maybe 20 minutes. But they actually say baleha. If they don't, if you're able to not give it to them, don't give it to them. There's no benefit, zero benefit to a kid watching screen. I know a lot of parents, I've had parents tell me like, oh, they're learning English. No, they're not learning English. Right? We have to look at the risk and the benefit. Maybe they might pick up a word or two, but the risk is so much greater than the benefit of that.
ماريا، أنا عارفة إن أنتي بتساعدي الولاد اللي عندهم مشكلة في الهاند رايتنج، وممكن كمان تكون increased أكتر بسبب إن إحنا الولاد دلوقتي التكست وبيشغلوا إيديهم بطريقة معينة والكمبيوتر كيز والكلام ده كله، فدلوقتي بقى more challenge for the kids إن هم يمسكوا القلم ويكتبوا. ايه الاستراتيجيز اللي بتستخدميها مع الولاد عشان نحببهم خاصة الصبيان كمان؟
So I get a lot of questions about handwriting, and what I actually encourage parents to do is ask your child to squeeze your hand. So squeeze my hand, okay? Squeeze as hard as you can. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Okay? And what you'll notice is a lot of your kids are squeezing from their shoulder. No one is using their muscles inside their hand. And then if you actually look inside of their hand, it's flat. We want this muscle to actually be big.
Okay.
When it's flat, they actually cannot write. We need to work on strengthening their hand without them using their shoulder and their elbow. So what I encourage parents to do, very simple things. When they're sitting on a table, put their elbow on the table, and it can't be a table that's too high and it can't be a table that's too low for them. So they're level. And their elbows are on the table, and that's when you play with therapy. So not just Play-Doh. That's when they squeeze things. So if you have a sprayer, get them to put a piece of paper in front of them and fill a sprayer bottle with water and get them to soak the paper. This is a great exercise for them to do, but they have to keep their elbow on the table, and this is a great one that's really going to strengthen their muscles.
Very, very good. So we're working on the fine motor skills. عرفينا عن الفاين motor skills.
So the fine motor skills are the things that we do just using our hands. And it's not just writing. Right? There's so many things that we use our fine motors for, like our buttons, our zippers, different things like scissors. But actually it's been proven time and time again that our fine motor is strongly connected to our gross motor. And time again we see in children, kids who have low fine motor, low gross motor. Now we're looking at, there could be obesity concerns, there could be low self-esteem. We can have kids that are very low muscle tone, who are just always like this, or too tense. So when they're writing, they're too tense, and then they start hating school. They start hating it. That was the most discouraging thing. I go to a grade 8 class, and the boys, they hate it. Like, I don't want to write. It asks for a paragraph. I don't want to write. And a lot of people say like, okay, give them laptops. Unfortunately, nowadays, we have to give them these things when they're older because they have to show that they know the understanding of they know and they understand, right? So, but is that actually helping the kid? No. It's been shown time and time again, handwriting and writing is what actually helps with memory and retention of information. So don't just be so quick and be like, oh, he's good with typing. Really, as a parent, try to encourage them as much as possible to continue writing.
So a traditional way of writing is the best way.
Yes.
حلو قوي. انت كمان دخلتينا بقى على النقطة التانية اللي هي الاتنشن سبان. الولاد، مش عايزة اقول ولاد بس، احنا كلنا بقى عندنا زهايمر. لا يعني الاتنشن سبان بتاعنا اللي هي الوقت اللي احنا بيبقى مركزين فيه، الوقت بتاع التركيز بالنسبة للطفل 5 سنين، فترة التركيز بتاعته 5 دقايق لحد ما نوصل، يعني هو بتعتمد على العمر، يعني 6 سنين يبقى 6 دقايق، 10 سنين 10 دقايق، لحد ما نوصل ل20 سنة بتبقى 20 دقيقة، بعد كده نفضل 20 دقيقة على طول. لكن احنا دلوقتي مع التكنولوجي وان احنا على طول باصين في التليفونات وعلى الكمبيوتر، ابتدى الفوكس بتاعنا لما نيجي نتكلم وسوشيال، الفوكس بتاعنا قل. يا ترى ايه الاسباب وازاي نعالج الموضوع ده؟ انا طبعا عارفه ان انت شغاله على الموضوع ده.
It's a big topic. I think we have to be mindful as parents and as a generation that it's not just oh, they're wasting their time on screen. This screen has a significant impact on their brain development.
Okay.
So we have to be very mindful, and we have to go back to thinking the rules that we have in our homes, the structure, how much time do they have? Is it just 20 minutes? You stick with that 20 minutes. And that includes a TV show, a movie, time on their phone, a video game, whatever it might be. It has a significant impact on their attention and their focus. And what's worse, we have kids who are like, I'm bored. I'm bored. And actually, I'm bored is you've lost my attention.
Okay.
Right? And because why are they losing their attention so quickly? Well, any screen is very quick. Things they're being stimulated within a second multiple times. Now imagine they go and they're used to multiple sensations and sensory systems being activated when they're watching something or doing something on their phone, and now they go to sit and watch a teacher. They're going to be bored. They're going to get distracted by anything and everything, right? So we have to be very mindful with it. We really cautious parents about the idea of using screens. Like it should be the absolute last resort.
من الحاجات الجميله بتعجبني في الكنديين اذا كان اصحابنا في الشغل او السكند جنريشن الجيل الثاني مولود هنا، موضوع الاستراكشر والسيستم والرولز. فهمينا ازاي نبتدي. احنا طبعا الكلام ده ما كانش عندنا خالص.
So time after time, again, research has shown and proven structure and routine allows our children to flourish, to grow, to become self-confident, to be very, very secure in themselves. I have so many parents that come to me and are like, oh, my daughter, my son, they have no self-confidence in themselves. And a big piece of that is that they don't feel safe. And why do they not feel safe? Well, there was never real routine in their life. And I know a lot of parents would tell me like, oh, but you know, أنا عديتها for them, you know, I'm being nice. But actually, kids need structure. They don't need you to عديها. They need you to be firm. They need you to, if you say a word, your word has to go through. Like كلمتك. You said yes, the answer is yes. You said no, the answer is no. Even if they're kicking and they're screaming and that whole thing, that's okay. They might do that the first, the second, the 10th time, but then they will stop. They will realize, oh, mom and dad, when they say this, it's real. This boundary is firm, right? But with love. We're not just saying no and there's no love part to it. We can't have a routine and structure like we're running a military if there's no love and connection in the home. So we definitely need the love and the connection in the home first, but definitely have the routine, the structure. They need it. These kids, regardless of their age, they need it. That's how they will become successful.
ده حقيقي.
And they will depend on it. They need, and it will give them security, which is important. You'll actually find, since you're a teacher, I'm sure you can tell me, you'll find students, they love teachers who are actually very strict and have structure, because the kid can expect the exact same person every day. But the teachers who are all over the place, you know, they might be fun teachers, but students time and time again will be like, she's confusing, I don't know which type of teacher I'm getting today, the happy one or the crazy one or the mean one. This is not, it's not what builds security in our children.
That's right. كان عندي طفل، بس لما كان يحصل اي يعني event unexpectedly في المدرسة كان فعلا بيحصل له like melt down، وكنا بناخد hard time معاه عشان get him back to the routine. طيب حلو قوي ماريا. عارفة عندنا مثل بيقول في الحركة بركة. نبقى حابين الطفل وهو active كده وبيتحرك وتبقى يعني عنده energy وعاوز طاقة عايز يطلعها. وطبعا ده بيبقى في السن الابتدائي اكتر حاجه.
Yes, for sure.
لكن sometimes ما بتبقاش حركه عاديه، وبتبقى حركه محتاجه medical consultation. امتى اعرف as a parent واعمل differentiation كده، افرق بين ان ابني عنده حركه he's active or she's active، ولا فعلا لازم اروح لدكتور واستشير؟
So I think this is such a tough question, because we are in a day and age now where You can walk in, I used to work in schools. I would walk into a classroom and apparently 10 out of the 23 kids have ADHD.
Yeah.
That's not statistically possible. This shouldn't be the case. 10 of them are not medically diagnosed ADHD. That shouldn't be the case. If that's the case, then there's a significant problem that we need to be looking at. I think as parents, we have to be very mindful. No offense to teachers, but teachers are very overwhelmed. So we have now, time and time again, teachers are going to push a parent and be like, no, there's something wrong with your kid. Your kid is not sitting. Well, are they not sitting because they don't understand? Are they not sitting because they're, upset because of something else? Are they not sitting because they're not sleeping properly because they were watching TV? Are they not sitting? Do you see it? There's so many reasons why kids at such young age, they could be distracted, right? So there's so many things that we can think about. So I would recommend as parents, search up all the different things that can cause my child to be distracted or be super energetic.
Okay.
And then start eliminating. Be like, okay, well, they actually sleep really well. Actually, they don't have too much sugar. Actually, with their friends, they're okay. Actually, and they start eliminating. And then if you still find that your child is performing poorly in school, and then the teacher saying, oh, you know what, I'm thinking there's an issue, that's when I would take it to a doctor. But again, at young ages, and I'm not a doctor, but I am an occupational therapist. I work with kids. I don't recommend that we push the medication at a young age. It's very, very expected and accepted now that kids get medicated very young.
Yeah.
And there's a very high chance that your kid does not have ADHD and was just super energetic because of so many other reasons.
Yes.
So we need to let it pass.
حلو قوي.
Yeah.
يبقى لازم ادور على العوامل الاخرى اللي بتسبب ان ابني يكون عنده حركة زيادة قبل ما اروح للدكتور او قبل ما اديله اي ادوية لهذا السبب. ماريا، مع كل التحديات والسرعة والضغوط اللي موجودة حوالينا، بنبص لان احنا عندنا subject الناس بتحاول تavoid it او ما تتكلمش فيه. يعني ممكن نقول حاجة cultural ممكن، لكن كلنا حاليا بنعاني من stress، من depression، من anxiety، من negative thoughts بطريقة وبليفلز مختلفة. يعني محدش ما بيتعرضش للستريس في الأيام دي. انا عارفه طبعا ان انت بتعملي سايكوثيرابي، وعاوزين ناخد من خبرتك بقى ان انا ازاي اختار good therapist for my family او for my children، ويعني ازاي ان انا ما اتكسفش من حاجه زي كده.
Yeah, mental health is huge. Mental health, especially in kids, is very complicated, but at the same time so beautifully simple.
Okay.
Kids, because of the fact that they're kids, they don't have a ton of responsibility.
Okay.
Like, I prefer to work with younger kids because adults with mental health is a big challenge. Kids, on the other hand, they're so connected.
Okay.
How they feel from the inside, you see it on their face. 100%. They cannot fake it.
Okay.
So it ends up affecting everything that they do. It affects their relationships at home. It affects their sibling interactions. It affects how they perform at school. It's 100% correlation. If they're dealing with something with their own mental health, significantly affecting their marks. So it really affects every single part of their life. So we as parents, we have to take it very seriously. And not to say everybody needs a therapist. No. I think parents will always be, and I'm a firm believer in this, you are their primary therapist. Okay? So as parents, some of the strategies I always try to teach my parents alongside any kid that I see.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, a therapist might see your kid once a week.
Right,
but you are with them the rest of the time. So you as a parent, you need to be the one educated in it. How do you talk to your child? How do you validate how they feel? How do you affirm what's happening? Does that mean we're going to say, oh, it's okay that you feel awful, oh, it's okay that you failed? No.
Okay.
It means we need to get to the root of the problem.
Okay.
If they come and they tell you, you know, you feel me and my friend are not talking as much, tell them, oh, like, how do you feel about that?
Okay.
Don't say why.
All right.
Why are you doing this?
Oh.
What did you do? This is all blame.
Okay.
No, start from, oh, how is that making you feel? What are you doing to manage how you're feeling?
Okay.
How can I help you manage how you're feeling?
متهيألي دي الحاجات اللي احنا النقط اللي احنا ناقصانا طريقة السؤال اساسا عشان الولاد ما يقفلوش مننا.
Exactly. And that's what happens. Yes. That's what happens. Parents, we don't mean it as parents. We say like we want to get to what happened. But we have to be very slow. Very, very slow. We have to meet our kid where they're at. If they just come to you and they seem angry, all you have to say, don't yell at them that they threw everything on the floor.
Yeah.
You can start like, wow, you seem angry.
Okay. So you recognize their feeling.
Recognize, validate where they're at. Wow, you seem really angry right now. How can I help you?
Okay.
And if they tell you, no, you can't help me. They're like, okay, clearly you're not ready to talk right now.
بالظبط.
Clearly you're not ready to talk right now. So maybe we'll give it a few minutes and then we can have a talk.
حلو قوي.
But again, we can't have this type of communication with our kids if there's no connection with our kids. And it really, connection is the cornerstone to mental health.
بالظبط.
These kids are looking for a connection. And that's why sometimes a lot of these kids are successful with a therapist because they form a connection that they did not form with their parents. And I understand, I'm a parent as well, where parents, there's a whole lot going on. And that's why I always encourage parents with kids to, you know what, you first get educated. How can you respond? And then if you feel like what you're doing is not helping, that's when you seek out a therapist. And don't be shy. You might meet a therapist and be like, oh, she's really nice or he's really nice. And then after the first session, you feel like, I don't like this. It doesn't fit me. Don't be shy.
Okay.
Right? At the end of the day, this is your kid. It's their well-being. It's okay for you to call and ask, can I have a quick consult?
Okay.
And you will feel for yourself. You'll be like, okay, this one fits with me or this one does not. And that's okay. We don't get offended.
اوكي. حابه كمان يعني اخد من كلامك الجميل واقول ان البيرنتس زي ما انت قلتي ان هم اول معالج للاطفال، وعلشان كده نكون واخدين بالنا من نفسنا ومن المنتال هيلث بتاعتنا، ونكون احنا نفسنا ساتيسفايد وهابي علشان يبقى الاتموسفير في البيت يكون كويس. لان ولادنا في المدارس بيقابلوا تحديات كتيره جدا وبتحط عليهم ضغوط، وفعلا بيبقوا محتاجين حد يسمعهم. زي ما ماريا قالت لنا، الرابط الاسري طبعا بيأثر جدا، وده بنلاحظه جدا في الفصول لما بيكون في مشاكل في الاسره، بيبان على طول على الولاد وعلى التصرفات بتاعتهم. يمكن ما بيكونوش محتاجين اي حاجه غير ان هم يحسوا بالامان ويحسوا ان هم سيف زي ما قلت لنا. ماريا، الموضوعات كتيرة جدا واحنا مش شبعانين منك النهاردة، عايزين ناخد منك معلومات كلها، ولكن طبعا هنسيب تليفوناتك معانا هنا في الفيديو. وكمان كنا عملنا لكم حلقات قبل كده عن تحديات وتشالنجز للأولاد والتوحد والخدمات المقدمة من كندا لأولادنا ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة. هنسيب لكم اللينكات تحت الفيديو، هتلاقوا كمان الابديتس بحطها لكم في صندوق الوصف. هنسيب لكم تليفونات ماريا، واي حد عنده اي اسئله او تعليقات معلش هنتعبك، هترجمها لك هبعتها لك. يعني بجد احنا فرحانين جدا بيكي وبالخدمات اللي بتقدميها للكوميونتي. انا عارفه يعني ناس كتيره قوي انت ساعدتيهم. بتمنى لك كل التوفيق والنجاح ماريا. so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
وهنقول لكل الناس الجميله اللي بتشوفنا النهارده welcome to Canada, your new home.